Yeah, yeah. And there's things, little things, like, for example, if it was Hebrew, why do they use the word Pascha every time, which is an
Right.
Aramaic term? And there's a bunch, or manna. There's a bunch of Aramaic terms. Uh, it doesn't make sense that the Greek would have an Aramaic word translated into Greek. If the original source text was Hebrew, it would be Hebrew. And then on the flip side, there's words that are Hebrew, like Paul uses arabon, which is the surety of the gift of the Holy Spirit, and arabon. It's a Hebrew word transliterated into Greek. But if you're an Aramaic primacist, you'd look at the Aramaic and you go, well, they don't even understand it. They use a completely different word altogether. So at either front, those theories are what I call Indiana Jonesing. They're trying to create a search for the lost ark and to get people excited about it, kind of like the Copper Scroll thing. Send me
Right.
money and I'm going to provide this. I'm going to get you, the original, like, you're going to be able to tell your pastor off. You're going to be able to put your pastor in his place because he doesn't know this information. I'm going to give you behind the scenes, never before stuff, and often the people who are peddling that, sadly, well, by God allows it, aren't even believers, and they're
Yeah.
profiting off of this kind of thing, and they're profiting off of the naive and maybe gullibility of believers, and we're not to buy into sensationalism. It's a difficult thing. Another bit, though, is also we have to remember that in the Second Temple period, language, the complex language situation, so multiplicity of language, was a hot issue of the day. I mean, at Qumran, we have texts in Hebrew and Aramaic and Greek, I think even a little bit of Latin. So we know that, the words above the cross in 3 languages, right? Throughout the Gospels, it'll give us a phrase and then it'll tell us what it means. But the context is all the world was like this. And there was an idea of elite, inaccessible holy language, even in Egypt and in Babylon with the reading of, there were still Babylonian priests who used cuneiform. It was fading, but the idea is it's privileged, elite
Right.
information for those who are the mediators between the gods and man. And what the gospel does, it communicates in the basic, what they call Koine, which is the language of trade, the language of commerce, the language that would spread quickly. And it did. It spread really quickly. And then that was accessible to be translated from Greek then into all these other languages where people knew Greek and then they knew this other language. And that's all in God's wisdom. It's really wonderful. We don't see there's no branch in the Jewish world after the destruction of the temple where there is such a mass translation of the Old Testament. We don't see it. Instead, we see an insulation occur. We see an intensity of protecting Hebrew, and we're going to try to make everything Hebrew now. Now, granted, the language of the Gemara is Aramaic, but but what are they talking about in Aramaic? They're trying to understand Hebrew, because so we got to take all this into mind. It's a complex linguistic situation. And the claims that the Gospels or the New Testament was originally written in Hebrew is like someone excited about trying to get people excited to go and be on a hill that just doesn't matter.
Can I give an analogy? Can I give an analogy here?
Jiu-jitsu? Is it jiu-jitsu?
No, it's not. It's not. Yeah. So I've been watching a series with my wife recently, and in it there's an artist who is a Native American, and she is very passionate about her Native American heritage, and she even speaks some of her tribe's original language in
Wow.
this series, and she really wants to spread the culture of her tribe and the history of her tribe. And although she uses some of her, her native language from time to time, if she was going to write a book on this, or in the series itself, if she were to only speak her language, the native language, no one would buy it. No one would get it.
That's right.
It wouldn't spread. There would be no message that she has. No one would care. Why? Because no one would understand her. And that's how I see Hebrew in the first century. Was it used? Absolutely, it was used. Did Yeshua speak Hebrew? I think he did speak Hebrew. Is that all he spoke? Absolutely not. And if the gospel writers wanted to influence people outside of a very, very, very small group of people in Judea, then they needed to write in the lingua franca of the day, and that was Greek. It was Greek. It was not Hebrew. And if they would have written in Hebrew, guess what? I mean, certainly the Holy Spirit can do anything that the Holy Spirit wants to do. But the point is that if the gospel writers and the New Testament writers wanted to influence as many people as possible, it would not have been written in Hebrew or Aramaic. I see it as the same. The Puyallup tribe is not going to get their history well known to everyone in the United States by writing in their native language. They have to write in English because that's what people speak. I mean, there's a lot of other reasons, but let's piggybacking, and this actually goes to your explanation as well. Thank you so much for watching this video. Tell us your thoughts on this subject by leaving a comment in the comment section. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and enable those notifications, and we'll see you in the next video.